Comic Book Hangover once again with the second half, part 2, because all great things will get sequels, not remakes, sequels. So here we go with the sequel to the first half of the movies that I watched in the month of May. So we're just going to jump straight into it with the next one, Blu-ray, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Another one that my 10-year-old loved because there's things that he has known about from Ready Player One, and I think there's a video game that he plays that has the white rabbit that kills everybody in there. But I didn't realize this is the 40th anniversary edition. So this release is like 10 years old already. There's a 50th anniversary edition, but I'm not sure if I'm going to upgrade to it because this one works out just fine. And then we've also got a Little Shop of Horrors. I watched the director's cut. I've never actually seen I know how the director's cut ends. I've seen that, but I've never seen it all put together in one film, if you know what I mean. So I decided to do that. Check that out. It's been a long time since I've seen the Little Shop of Horrors. I still love the effects on Audrey 2, the killer plant. Still holds up today and makes me just wish that we could go back to the days where we had more practical effects in movies, because the CG stuff just doesn't do it for me. But this is a great movie. One of the few musicals that I really do enjoy. Now back on the Monsterverse, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Still love this one. I loved all these movies. It's weird because I kind of thought that, as it progressed and as it got bigger and as it got better as the movies came out, that something like Kong Skull Island and Godzilla 2014 would lose some of its some of its impact and some of its punch. But to me personally, they haven't. I still love them. They're still going to be part of my collection for as long as I can think of. The only thing is that I'm thinking about upgrading some of these to 4K because, what the hell, why not? Excuse me a sec. Next one is going to be Hot Fuzz. I got this collection here that has all 3 of the Cornetto trilogies. So I watched Shaun of the Dead last month. This month is Hot Fuzz. So probably in the month of June, I'll watch The World's End just to wrap up the trilogy. Great movie, so much fun. And the next one is the newest one in our movie collection, and that is the 4K release for Jason X. Now, yes, I flipped it over to the original artwork because to me the original artwork was a lot better. It's what I know. It's what I like. That's the spine that I'm familiar with on Jason X. No disrespect to the artist who did the new box art for this movie, but I just didn't much care for it. It just wasn't me. I know a lot of people like it, and I understand why a lot of people like it. I mean, especially if you got that unnecessary Friday the 13th remake, and if you get Jason Goes to Hell, the artwork all matches to an extent, to a point, and it kind of makes it an unofficial set in and of itself. But I just couldn't get into the new box art. I like the original box art, and this movie is still so much fun. I'm one of the people that will openly and honestly admit I really liked this movie. This is one of my favorite Friday the 13th films. This one and Part 7, and of course the first one, but so much fun. It's just such a fun film. Plus, this one also has my son's favorite kill. My favorite kills from Part 7 is with the sleeping bag against the tree. My son's favorite kill is in this one. It's the nitrogen face in there, and then he lifts her up and smashes her face into the counter. It's a great one. So moving on, the next one is another Simon Pegg film that I hadn't watched since I bought it. Kill Me Three Times. He plays a sort of a bounty hunter who is hired to kill a wife who's involved with some other guy behind her husband's back, and then there's a dentist who owes a bunch of money to somebody, and it's kind of a comedy of errors film is the best way to describe it, but it's quirky, it's fun, it flows really well. The different storylines, they intermix, they go on their own thing, and no single storyline trips over the other one. So they did a really good job with this one, I thought. And this one here, I think, is the oldest one in this month. So this is from 1938. I picked this up because it was an old movie. I like old movies. This is Edward G. Robinson's A Slight Case of Murder. Now, Edward G. Robinson was known for doing gangster films. He was a guy who, he would go, hey, see, and he had the big lips. He was a sort of a caricature of him was often done in the Looney Tunes cartoons. But I'd never seen him in any of those movies. I don't really watch those kind of old gangster films, but he's in this one. He apparently he wanted to do a comedy. He wanted to do something different. He liked it, and he wasn't worried about it ruining his reputation as a hardcore gangster. Also, the other thing about this one was, I guess in all of his gangster films, he winds up getting killed at the end of all of them. This one here is the only movie I guess he did where he didn't die at the end of it. And another one where it's just this wonderful little comedy of errors. So much fun. And he's a gangster playing to type, but he's a gangster who during the end of Prohibition, he was making his money, bootlegging beer. Prohibition ends, so now everything is lit. Beer is legit. So he decides to go legitimate, and he tries to change his life around. And he's failing, but he keeps trying. He doesn't want to fail. He's got a wife and he's got a kid. And he's trying to do right. He's trying to take care of the people who worked for him, his henchmen back in the gangster days. And then there's people who are trying to kill him because he did them dirty back in the gangster era. And it's just a fun little film. 1938. They knew how to make movies back then, and I really wish we could go back to making movies like that now. I also like the fact that these days we get movies like Frankenstein Girl versus Vampire Girl. This is a great Asian film. I think this was no, this is not Sushi Typhoon. Sushi Typhoon, I love their stuff. I'll be watching some of their stuff soon. But this one here, Frankenstein Girl versus Vampire Girl, or vice versa, Vampire versus Frankenstein. That's exactly what it is. And it is outrageous. You've got a teacher who is also sort of an insane voodoo witch doctor priest. You've got sort of a reanimator-esque reanimation of body parts. You've got blood splatter everywhere. That if you're a fan of Evil Dead series, Evil Dead 2, and that kind of bloodletting, this is definitely something you want to check out. You got a musical number, you got blood swords, you got blood spikes, and just all kinds of insanity, all kinds of stuff in this movie. And I love it. This is one I think I picked up from Family Video. Yes, it is. Because sometimes you would get these movies, and everybody who I worked with knew when these kind of films went up for sale, I was the one that was getting them because I love these kind of movies. And then something completely different from that, Lightning in a Bottle. Something else that may not be well known about me because I don't really talk about music on any of my channels. I love blues music. And when I say I love blues music, I mean I love the old school blues. I love Muddy Waters. I love Lead Belly. I love all those guys. Give me some Billie Holiday, and I can listen to that stuff for hours. So this right here, this was a concert that was done that was way overdue, where it's just sort of a way to pay respect and give them their due recognition. Some of the greatest blues artists of all time. I mean, it was a veritable who's who. You had Natalie Cole, Chuck D, Macy Gray, Buddy Holly, B.B. King, the Neville Brothers, Bonnie Raitt, Mavis Staples, Kim Wilson, and just so many more. A great concert, although not a perfect concert. The one thing about this that I did not like, I mean, everything about this, it was just the stories that the performers would tell about how hard it was for black recording artists to do what they wanted to do back in the day, and that they were able to find the original recordings from the 20s and 30s of some of these great songs, Midnight Special and others. The one thing that just derailed everything, which I'm glad it was towards the end, one of my favorite songs of all times is Boom Boom by Muddy Waters. I love that song. And they made the announcement that was the next song that was coming on, and Chuck D was going to do it. I know Chuck D from the 90s, whatever, 80s or 90s. He was a rapper back in the day. He decided to turn Boom Boom into an anti-war song, and not only that, he changed some of the lyrics, which ruins the song, and then it wasn't blues, it was more metal, which, I don't know, the whole thing was just an embarrassment. You can even see the people in the crowd were kind of embarrassed. But that little tiny chunk of stupidity aside, this is a great little thing. And I know it's available on Blu-ray. I'm going to upgrade it. But anybody who's a fan of blues music, who's never seen this one, you definitely want to check this one out. Because this is an amazing little piece of of music history is what it is. Moving on, the next part of the MonsterVerse, Godzilla vs. Kong. Still love it. This next one was one that I'd wanted for years and almost bought it on DVD. Saw they put it on Blu-ray. Atomic Cafe, and they call this a sort of a black comedy. One of the funniest documentaries ever made. It's actually quite depressing. It's basically what it is. It's made up of the old Cold War nuclear scare PSAs from the day, the whole duck and cover thing. You know, if you see a flash, you better duck and cover. They made the whole movie out of that. So it's a nice collection and a nice sort of snapshot of history of you know, of the world and of this country and you know, the mentality of people back in those days. But man, it does get depressing watching that and just knowing that that's how people lived their lives back then. Next up, My Science Project. Been forever since I'd seen it. I think the last time I saw this one, it was on TV back in the early 90s, late 80s, something like that. I don't know. But it's an interesting movie. I think I got it confused with Real Genius, but still fun. I mean, it has its moments. And we're going to be wrapping up the MonsterVerse with Godzilla Kong New Empire, which I have on 4K Steelbook. And the only reason why I got the Steelbook is because it's only like $16 at Walmart. So I figured, what the heck? I don't think I had it, so I picked it up. So I got this one, and again, I got this stupid little J card here. I do get those slip cases. I need to order some more, but that's going to go in a slip case. That way that stupid J card doesn't get in my way. But a great movie, and I'm looking forward to the next one, Supernova. One that I hadn't watched because of where I got it, High Spirits. Some 20 years ago, my little sister passed away, and I inherited her movie collection. This is one of her movies. This was one of her favorite movies, and hadn't been able to bring myself to watch it, but I finally decided to watch it, and man, I began to remember so much about this movie, and it did bring back some memories about my sister, which was good. Great stuff. So I'm glad I actually sat down and watched it, and I'm going to keep it. I thought about upgrading it to Blu-ray, but I think I'm going to keep the DVD. Almost done here. Railroad Tigers. I don't know what to say, but I think this is another one that I picked up from Family Video because it was cheap. And I like Jackie Chan, and the whole idea, like, Asian action films are just so much fun. But honestly, I fell asleep during this one, so I'm probably going to end up getting rid of it. I can't really tell you what it's about. And the last movie that I watched in the month of May is the last, kind of ironic, the last Lovecraft, Relic of Cthulhu, with printed box art, because that's how we used to do it back in Family Video days when box art got ruined. It's a comedy about this guy who's the last living relative or last living ancestor or whatever descendant of H.P. Lovecraft, and he has to get his act together to save the world from the cult of Cthulhu, who wants to get this relic and this other relic, put them together, make a key, free Cthulhu, and the whole world goes to crap. So, great movie though. It's got some great comedy moments in it and some very uncomfortable dialogue as well, which I do enjoy in a good comedy movie. But there's that. And that's it. Those are all the movies that I watched in the month of May. So if you hadn't seen the first part of this, with movies 1 through 15, you're going to want to go ahead and check that out. It goes with this. Then you see everything I watched in the month of May. And I think I'm going to continue doing this, make all these two-parters. Again, it's to make the video shorter, but also a cheap attempt at getting more content on my media platform. So that said, I hope everybody enjoyed the movies that I checked out. If you want to have any discussions with them, go ahead and start a discussion down in the comment section below. Of course, give us a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Share the video, and we will see you guys next month with another round of movies from our movie collection. See ya.